The helicopter blades were chopping the air so hard, it rattled the windows, and dust swirled across my front yard. I had one hand on my phone, the other gripping the railing of my porch, watching the rescue chopper hover low over the ridge behind my ranch. It was coming in for a medical pickup. My neighbor's teenage son had been thrown from his horse and needed urgent airlift. Then, out of nowhere, 2 SUVs came screaming up my dirt road, tires spitting gravel. The doors flew open, and out stepped 3 men in dark uniforms with shiny badges that didn't quite look right. One of them cupped his hands to his mouth and shouted over the roar, "This is HOA security. That helicopter is unauthorized. Tell it to stand down." I stared at him like he'd lost his mind. "You're stopping a medical rescue?" I yelled back. The tallest one swaggered forward, tapping the fake badge on his chest like it was going to hypnotize me. "We have jurisdiction here. HOA bylaws forbid low-flight aircraft over residential zones." I almost laughed. Almost. But then he reached for a radio on his belt and barked, "Block the landing zone." I repeat, block. The chopper pilot must have heard the commotion because the aircraft shifted sideways, struggling to find a safe landing spot while these clowns jogged toward the ridge with flashlights, waving them like runway signals. My stomach dropped. Every second they wasted could cost that boy's life. I stepped down from the porch, slow and steady, my voice calm. "You boys, sure you want to keep playing pretend out here?" The leader smirked. "Buddy, we are the law here." They didn't see the unmarked black SUV pulling up behind them, but I did, and I knew exactly who was inside. The SUV's engine cut off with a low rumble, and for a second, the only sound was the fading thump of the helicopter circling overhead. Then the driver's door swung open, and out stepped Captain Harris, my oldest friend from the county SWAT unit. No sirens, no flashing lights, just that quiet, dangerous calm he carried when things were about to go bad for someone else. The fake HOA cops froze mid-step, their flashlights still aimed toward the ridge. Harris didn't even look at me. His eyes locked on them like he was sizing up targets. "Badges now?" he said flatly. The tallest one chuckled nervously. "Look, officer, there's been a misunderstanding." "We're not officers," Harris cut in, his tone cold enough to frost glass. He gestured toward the other SWAT guys spilling out of the SUV, each one geared up and moving fast. Hands where I can see them. The chopper made another pass, and I could see the paramedics on board getting ready to drop down. Harris signaled one of his men to secure the ridge, making sure the landing could go ahead without interference. That's when one of the imposters made the dumbest move. Possible he reached for his radio again? In less than a second, Harris had him face down in the dirt, knee on his back, badge clattering to the ground. The cheap metal caught the sunlight, and even from a few feet away, "I could see it," said Property Enforcement Association, not police. "Not sheriff, just another HOA scam." "You just interfered with an emergency rescue?" Harris said, leaning down close enough that the guy could hear every word over the helicopter's roar. "That's felony territory." The 2 others were already being cuffed, their fake uniforms smeared with dust. But Harris wasn't done. He turned his head toward me and gave that slight nod I knew well. It meant this was just the beginning. The rescue chopper finally touched down on the ridge, its skids kicking up a storm of dirt and dry grass. Paramedics rushed out, sprinting toward the injured boy. I watched them go, relief washing over me for a split second, but Harris wasn't. Giving me time to breathe, he hauled the tall imposter to his feet, keeping a tight grip on the cuffs. He asked, voice sharp and direct. The man clamped his mouth shut, eyes darting toward his buddies. Harris's smirk was small, but dangerous. "Fine, we'll find it ourselves." One of the other SWAT guys stepped up, holding a confiscated clipboard loaded with papers. The top sheet had a bold title, HOA Enforcement Action Schedule. My ranch address was right there at the top, with a red stamp across it, immediate. "Seizure pending. They were planning to lock your place down," Harris said, flipping through more pages. "And half the county, it looks like." Before I could reply, Harris's radio crackled to life. "Command, we've got confirmation on the HOA HQ location, abandoned bank building off Route 17. Lights are on. Multiple subjects inside." Harris looked straight at me. "You still want to see this through?" I nodded once. 10 minutes later, we were rolling in a convoy toward Route 17, SWAT vans in front and back. The sun was dropping low, painting the sky red, and in that eerie glow, the so-called HOA headquarters came into view, a squat brick building with security lights blazing and a brand new sign bolted over the door. Neighborhood Compliance Center. From the outside, it looked official. From the inside, I was about to find out just how deep this scam ran. The vans barely slowed before SWAT poured out, moving in tight formation toward the front entrance. Harris didn't bother knocking. A single ram hit the door so hard it bounced off the wall inside. The moment we stepped in, the smell hit me first. Stale coffee, printer ink, and sweat. Folding tables lined the room, each one stacked with binders, fake citations, and boxes of counterfeit HOA badges. A giant wall map showed our entire county, dotted with red pushpins. My ranch, my neighbors, even properties miles away, were marked. Woman in a blazer stood frozen behind one of the tables, a phone halfway to her ear. Harris was on her in 2 strides, yanking the device from her hand. "Step away from the desk," he ordered. "I'm the president of this HOA," she snapped, trying to sound in control, but her voice wavered. "You can't just." Harris cut her off. "Lady, you're running an organized impersonation ring. You just tried to stop a medical rescue." One of the SWAT guys pulled open a filing cabinet, and the real bombshell dropped inside. Were detailed profiles on hundreds of homeowners, including surveillance photos taken without permission. I spotted my own picture, snapped from the tree line behind my barn. "They've been watching us," I muttered, anger boiling in my chest. Another officer called out from the back room. "Cap, you need to see this." We followed him to a locked metal door they'd just pried open. Inside was a smaller room, its walls lined with police uniforms, tactical vests, and gear bags, all fakes. But close enough to fool anyone in a tense moment, Harris glanced at me, his jaw set. They weren't just playing HOA, they were gearing up for something bigger. Before I could ask what, a loud crash echoed from outside, tires screeching, an engine roaring to life. Someone was trying to escape,